Welcome to the Designated Drinker Show, the podcast that's raising the bar on craft cocktails. I am your host, Louise Solis, and with me, as always, is my very, very, very talented friend, my hoaloa, the mixtress, DC Gina.
Thank you, Louise.
Friend.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to go with I think it's good.
It is good. It is good. Got to open the show with a little aloha.
It was the delivery.
I try. So I'm going to take you on a little virtual trip to Hawaii. You ready?
Okay.
Great. So do you know anything about the menehune? Have you ever heard of them? No? Okay. All right. So ready to get schooled. So Hawaiian legend has it that many centuries ago, the menehune actually were a magical, mischievous, small people. They range anywhere from 2 feet to 6 inches and were so small they could actually stand in the palm of your hand. So it is said that they lived and danced and sang throughout all of the islands, through the valleys and the forests, well before any Polynesian settlers were there. So it's way before anything else. Like I said, the menehune were magical, but they were also mischievous. They have been known to use magic arrows, and they would pierce the hearts of angry people so that they could fill their hearts with love and joy. So, little aloha. It might have stung in the beginning, but it was good in the end. And according to local lore, they were very strong and very industrious, and they built many, many structures on the islands to include temples, roads, canoes, and fish ponds. Now, there's still a fish pond on Kauai, and it's called the Ali Koko Fish Pond, and it's still in use today, and archaeologists believe it's over 1,000 years old. And they don't really know how it was built, but it's a fish pond. They built it to trap the water so that they could farm fish in it. But again, it's like over 1,000 years old, and it still holds up to all of the water. And there's a lot of questions on how it is actually built and how it's withstood over 1,000 years. So
That's so
obviously,
cool.
There's a lot of debate whether it's fiction or fact, whether menehune are real or not. They've never found any skeletal remains that shows evidence of this small race of people. But here's what's crazy. Most people still believe they're still around, but in 1820, on the 1820 census on the island of Kauai, there were 65 people that listed as menehune.
Really?
Yep. So very interesting. So leads us up to today's designated drinker, who might know a few menehune himself. He's definitely not one, but I like to think that he is part of my ohana. Who else is it? But it's Garrett Marrero from Maui Brewing. Welcome to the show again, Garrett. Aloha.
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 Hi.
Nice to see you again, as always.
Good to see you.
Hey, Gina.
He's definitely not a menehune, though.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he's like,
No, I won't fit in your hand.
like the height of 4 menehune put together, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Cool
Kind
story.
of fun, huh?
You did your homework. That's more than I knew about menehune before this episode.
Do you know there's actually 3? There was a whole nother part I didn't go into, but apparently there's 3 famous menehune on Maui, and I could not even pretend to be able to pronounce their names because they're like these 18 long, typical Hawaiian names, but apparently they're famous just on Maui. But I didn't even go into that because I'm like, I'm gonna butcher the hell out of that, so I stayed away from it.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a beautiful language too. It's, I know some people who are, of course, fluent, and, cultural advisors that we use at times too. And it's amazing to hear them speak because it's just such a beautiful language, but something that's relatively simple,
13
as
letters.
well. So it's just different from where,
13
exactly.
letters.
So
lots of vowels.
Lots of double vowels.
Well, Aiea on Oahu is the only city in the United States, to my knowledge, that has is all vowels.
Yep. All the vowels.
Yep.
Yeah. That's funny. I never even put that together, knowing how to spell Aiea, of course. But
exactly.
interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, I wish I was joining you guys in DC for a cocktail, but we'll have to do through Zoom as everyone is
I think
doing
June
these
and
days.
I'd rather be on Maui right now.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
100%.
go.
I was supposed to be there in February,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
very disappointed, but I still have my plane ticket and I have credit, so I will be joining everybody at some point.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Did
We'll
you
look
just
forward to
warn
that.
him or let him know? Did you just warn Garrett?
But if there's a tsunami coming, yes.
Yeah.
When I board the plane, there'll be a warning. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So, Garrett, I see that
Right.
you've been very busy over this quarantine with some new products, huh?
Yep.
Tell us what you've been doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've been working on things for a while, but you know, I think quarantines and, you know, COVID related closures of restaurants have given us some time to focus on, you know, really launching some of the new beverages that previously were planned for really just Maui and Hawaii. So, you know, our seltzer program has really taken off. I think they said last year was the year of seltzer, and I don't think they were counting on 2020, but this year's definitely the year of seltzer so far. And then, of course, our canned cocktails, which has been a dream of ours for, God, probably going on 8 years or so. We finally were able to launch those. It was quite a struggle, but we got there. So we're really proud of what our team has put out.
So, all right, let's show you. So if you're looking, you're following us on YouTube, and you see that you have the canned cocktails.
Yeah.
You have the whiskey cola, the whiskey ginger, and the gin and tonic, right? So pre-made, ready to go, really delicious. One thing, so so Louise, do you have your cans of the pre-made cocktails?
Yes, I've been waiting forever to drink them. Because honestly, so everyone knows, Garrett was going to be on the show way back in March because he was coming for Savor, which unfortunately was canceled because of COVID. So I have been waiting to drink these all this time.
I drank my first round.
Yeah.
So which one should I? Well,
yeah.
Which one did you open, love?
Let's start with. So I would like to start with the gin and tonic because I feel like I have a question about the gin and tonic because I never.
We do it straight out of the can?
Yeah, it's just straight out of the can.
Okay.
You can put it over ice. You don't really need to if they're cold. They're not cold, put it over ice.
I love how I'm like, straight out of a can? She's like, yes, and then pours hers in a glass.
I said, you can. You can.
Well, I think that's the beautiful thing about the can is, you know, of course, they're portable, they're lightweight, they're very eco-friendly. They take really good care of the liquid inside because of the way they're filled and seamed. But, you know, you can drink straight out of the can. And if you wanted to put it over ice, you can do that as well. If you think about going to the beach and you want a gin and tonic, you no longer have to bring a bottle of gin, your ice, your tonic, your lime, and then a cutting board and go through that process and like, oh, who's got the cooler of the clean ice, right? Because you don't want to have just the ice and everything sitting in. So, you know, this is our way of like saying, hey, you want a cocktail at the beach? This is ready to go. You don't need the glass. At home, I often will throw it over a glass of ice and then, you know, usually like a wheel of, you know, preserved orange or something along those lines. So, yeah, it's meant to be portable. You know, you think about where we're drinking here.
I'm just going to go right back to my Titta days and just drink right out of the can.
That's how we do it.
Wait.
A lot.
So I wanted to talk about this. So a lot of times you'll get products. So and I have a question about it because I really want to know. A lot of times you'll get products that people have ready-made and they actually take the liquor and then they take the tonic and they put it in said container and they combine it like this. I need to know, are you carbonating this with the gin and then the tonic together?
So that's something that's also really unique about the way we make our cocktails. A lot of times, like you said, you know, imagine making a gin and tonic at your bar or at home. You know, you take your alcohol, which burns ice right away, right? So you're pouring that alcohol over the ice. So you've now watered down your alcohol, right? Then you're taking a carbonated beverage, like in this case, tonic, and adding that on top, which is then going to technically flatten the tonic a bit, at least decrease the volumes of CO2. So what we do is we blend everything together, then carbonate it while it's cold, and then that's sent over to the filling line under pressure so that it doesn't lose its carbonation. So when you pour it over ice, you know, you may dilute a little bit, but nowhere near the amount of making a standard cocktail. And drinking out of the can, it's got proper, you know, fizz, proper carbonation as well. So.
How many PSIs of pressure? All right, so we're gonna nerd out for a second, everybody. How many psi's of pressure do you put on like in a can like this? Like,
yeah, so
what
that's
is
going
the
to be
number?
that'll be a mathematical equation that I don't know how to do, but I can tell you it's approximately 3 volumes of CO2, which I believe works out to about 6 milligrams per liter. Usually on the production side, yeah, we
Which
don't
is
talk
high.
about it in so much of a PSI standpoint because that it's a pressure rating as opposed to a volumes, how much CO2 is actually dissolved into the liquid itself. And that's what we're really looking for. So, but yeah, three grams.
It's
Yeah, sorry,
so
3
great.
volumes of CO2 is
Sorry,
about
go
the
ahead.
carbonation level of a soda. So you do get that snappiness. Honestly, the thing I love about it too is that, you know, the more bubbles you have in there, it tends to be more effervescent, but it just enhances the quote drinkability where you don't get as much as the alcohol heat necessarily, and you can crush more of them. At least I've found you can tend to drink more than one very easily. So
There's, dare you say, a sessionable gin and tonic? I feel like that's what
well,
created.
But what I do appreciate for that, to that
Sure.
point, I'm sorry, Garrett, to that point is it's not overly sweet. It's not like often that what's coming in a can, I'm not appreciating it's just not right for me. But these are really lovely because, to your point, they're sessionable, but it's not overly sweet. I don't.
Especially
It's
with
nice
our
and
tonic.
clean.
So I think stepping back for a minute too, you know, this was an evolution that took almost 8 years to get to the point of a canned cocktail. And initially we started back in 2008 making root beer as our natural, you know, non-alcoholic beverage. That was such a wild success here locally, especially when families would come in, you get the parents that are having a pint of beer. We wanted the keiki or the kids to have, you know, a pint of something that they could enjoy. And so we made a natural root beer. So no fake flavors, all honey, vanilla, real local cane sugar, those types of things. So we made a great soda and we expanded that into cola and ginger beer. And then when we started talking about making gin, we're like, well, we better make a tonic too and make a killer one. But the problem is that most tonics out there do have a ton of sugar in them. So, you know, where they're sitting at, you know, I forget how many grams of sugar in each, but I mean, we're about half the sugar that you find in the average tonic. And we use a lot of local lemongrass and other flavors locally grown here in Hawaii for making the tonic. So we take our gin that we make, you know, as a bottled spirit, you know, so you know, Kupu gin, and then we add that to our tonic, and the two liquids were designed to go together, where one's really rich in lemon and lime and coriander and juniper, of course. The other has more like lemongrass type character and very low in the sweetness. So they're once you put it in the can as a G&T, you don't need to add anything else to it. It's ready to go. So, you know, even, you know, not necessary to put a lime or a lemon or anything else in it. Like I said, sometimes I'll do a wheel of preserved orange or something, but usually that's, you know, if I'm getting fancy and making it out of it this way. But I do that less and less every day.
I think it's really good. So we have so you have two other ones that we have in front of us. We have the whiskey cola and then we have the whiskey ginger. Which one do you suggest to do next, the ginger or the cola?
I would probably go cola next. Now cola is going to be the sweetest of the ones we make. Naturally, it's a cola, and when people drink a cola or a Coke or Pepsi, they're going to expect sweetness. And we actually have, since the version you have, we've dialed it back just a little bit. But it is a whiskey cola. It's your Jack and Coke guy is going to love that whiskey cola. Although I would argue definitely more flavorful than traditional Coke. You know, this is cola using root and all of that. So it's legit.
Where do you source your cola beans from?
We use extracts only on the soda side, and those are all made for us naturally by a company on the mainland. So we've contracted with them to make natural extracts. So that way we don't have to be processing the ingredients. You can imagine how labor intensive that would be. You know, and even in some cases where we've sent fruit over to the mainland to then be processed into a stable extract. So, you know, the cola, like I said, is the sweetest of all of them. There's a little vanilla, a little bit of honey, those types of things in there to also enhance the flavor. But I like that it's really got a spice character. And for me, it was kind of designed around like a Fentimans type cola. So it's going to be more that botanical spice cola as opposed to like, I mean, I just don't drink Coca-Cola products in general. other than Topo. But
I want to show everybody how easy it is.
yeah.
So like, I don't know if you've ever poured like a soda out. It's like such a beautiful fizz on the product. And like, that's not normal. Like as much as you think that like, you know, that's what you get like when you pour an actual can of like cola out and nothing with alcohol. So I find this to be like super fascinating, your process. Like you really like honed in on it. It's
carbonation
delicious.
is key for
really
character.
good.
And, you know, I think we, you know, in the beer world, we've seen, you know, in years past, before there was really a better understanding of craft beer, you know, people wouldn't want head on their beer, and they didn't understand why you needed to have, you know, the beer develop a head and where that comes from. And CO2 brings so much in terms of texture and mouthfeel, but at the same time, it is bringing the effervescence, which is carrying the aromas to your nose. So before you even get to taste it in your mouth, your brain is already processing those flavors by the smell of what's coming to you. So I would argue CO2 is a main ingredient in beverage. And so for us to be able to be the manufacturer, if you will, of both the soda and the spirit, we bring those together and carbonate them to our spec, the way we like to drink them. And we hope you do too, of course. Yeah.
I mean, we love it.
Yeah.
We're gonna race to the next one, Louise.
Yeah. Whiskey ginger.
I'm racing.
I want to get to the seltzers.
I'm just
And
letting the two of you totally geek out, and I'm enjoying the cocktail.
Sure. Whiskey ginger. And talk to us about the whiskey that you're putting in there. Are you making that as well?
So we've got this is Kupu white whiskey. So we very similar to the whiskey cola, but this is with our ginger beer. So we make, on the non-alcoholic side, still our root beer. We make the cola, we make the ginger beer, and we make the tonic. So we have those 4 sodas as well. This is just taking our ginger beer, which is it's actually become our #1 selling non-alcoholic soda as well, because it is such a great mixer, whatever you're putting it in with, like a mule or otherwise. You know, I think of this as more of a Kentucky mule, so the whiskey and ginger, but it's got a spice character from the really fresh ginger that we put into there. So we actually cook the ginger as a syrup so that we can get the spiciness from it. And we want that raw ginger character to be in there, which you can taste right there in the flavor. So that's one of my favorite cocktails for sure, is a Kentucky mule, or in this case, what we call a whiskey ginger.
I mean, you're so lucky to have the most beautiful ginger in the world at your fingertips.
Yeah, that doesn't suck.
No, it does not suck. But also, you know, your water that you're using to make this with, it definitely has a salinity to it. Mm-hmm. Or there's a salinity in there, just a little bit, which is really quite lovely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's coming on the syrup side, just the water balance in general, or your pH that's on the island. Yeah. Or, you know, I don't know what number, like where you're at on it. If you're like more on the acidic, salty side of like a 6.5, or if you're like floating in the 7.2 world. But this is so beautifully balanced with a little bit of heat. I love it.
Sure. Yeah, that's where I love the heat in it too. And, you know, our water bounces around quite a bit. It tends to be very similar month over, so same month, year over year, generally pretty similar, but month by month, it changes so much here due to rainfall and just the microclimates that we have here and where water's coming from in different areas of the island. So generally the water is, you know, pretty hard in Hawaii. But, you know, we do have to soften it for, you know, a lot of our brewing purposes. So we do treat the water, you know, no chemicals, of course, but it's based on what we're making. We treat the water differently. So it's not just open the tap and let her flow. But we're certainly separating the particulate, because we get a lot of red dirt in our water. That's for sure. So.
I'm sure. Like, I find it to be fascinating. Like, I'm more into like now how people treat the water in general, like when they're doing, especially the canned cocktails, because like it makes such a difference, like especially the carbonation, the way it holds the bubble, you know, all of it. Like it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, we found on the distillation side, especially, the water is super important. You know, of course, in brewing, it's important for, you know, IPAs especially, and of course in lagers. I mean, you're kind of pretty much all beers are, but in a different purpose. I mean, even like Goza style, you know, they're trying to mimic water from the Goslar region of Germany, where you had higher salinity and mineral content. You know, but you know, if you were to proof down your whiskey, in this case gin, let's say, we'll use the whiskey because it's one that gets proof more. You can see how nice and clear it is. But if you had the wrong water going in there to proof it down to your bottle proof, You could get the cloudiness. You could precipitate the lipids, which will then, form a ring around it, and you get condensation in the neck because it's separating out. So those are things you don't want. So water is very important in every process.
Yeah, what do they call it? Disjointed.
Yeah,
you disjoint the bottle like
that.
Yeah,
and it doesn't look good. People are like, what's in the bottle?
Product.
So you got to make sure it's right.
Why should I have to shake my whiskey? So I have a question. Now that you have all that white whiskey, are we aging some whiskey? Can we expect a new product coming?
Absolutely, yeah. So we will have our first aged whiskeys coming out most likely around October. We have about 240 barrels, 53-gallon barrels that are laying down right now at a secret site up country. And we're really excited about the way the whiskey's tasting. We're going to start doing some barrel programs where, you can buy the whole barrel and we'll blend it to your spec, that kind of thing. But the whiskey is drinking phenomenally. And I can't believe, as young as it is, how good it tastes. Like no one, when I put it in front of someone who knows whiskey, they can't imagine that it's only a year old at this point. They're like, I've never had whiskey 1 year that tastes like this. So
you're in such a unique climate. I can only imagine, between humidity, weather, the changing altitude in some regions where you are. I mean, forget it. You could almost dial in a whiskey probably in 18 months versus, 2 to 4 years that you're looking for to get like those, the flavor combination of your white dog and then the wood to give you.
I think
I can't help it. As soon as I hear Garrett say anything like local, like up country, it makes my heart swell. I forget like the little things. You said you threw out cakey, and I'm like, oh.
It's funny, those little
up
things.
country. Up country is like, those little things.
Up country.
But we haven't gone Makai or Malka though.
We were just talking about that actually yesterday.
What is that?
So Gina, in Hawaii, it's really crazy for directions because it's not east, west, north, south, although there is north and south shores. You would say it's Malka of something, meaning it's going to be on the mountain side of something, Makai being the water side of something. So if you're like, oh, it's on the Malka side of the street, you just need to look at where the it's going to be on the mountain side of the street. And that's all that's how directions are always given. And of course you always make a left at that McDonald's. You know that McDonald's? Yeah, you make a left at that McDonald's.
Does Waze work in Hawaii or Maui?
Does what? Waze? Yeah, it does.
Perfect.
They don't, but it hasn't been localized, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's actually funny. We were talking about it yesterday. We had a meeting about some liquor control things, and here on Maui County, of course, there's no secret if you follow me on social media that we haven't challenged the liquor department here in Maui. But they actually, when you make your map of where your license location is, and you have to submit that, you have to put the two cities that are essentially, nearest you, and then Malka Makai for your location. So it'll be like, for us, it's like Wailea and Kahului, and then it'll be Malka Makai. That's where, and you have to orient the axis of the compass that's on your map so that you have the right direction the building's facing. So you can't say north, south, east, west. It'll get rejected. So and that's in government, but that's Maui government, I will just add.
I mean, I live in DC. I'm pretty sure we have somebody in the White House right now making up his own government as well. So I don't really know if he follows any sort of other rules other than his own isms.
That might just be it. Maybe he's taking a page out of Maui County Liquor. Maybe we're not giving them enough credit.
Maybe.
If only he did. We'd be better off if he did.
So I want to hold them up for a second because everybody can see them.
Yeah. Oh, the seltzers.
And yes. So let me just preface this by saying anyone listening to the show right now knows that seltzers are everywhere, right? You have all these different brands, all the different flavors, and everybody's drinking them, and it's such a hot market. It's insane. So what I find so incredible about it is like everything's different. The things that are coming out of breweries is so different, radically different than say the first ones, like the White Claws and stuff that first came out, or the Trulies. And now they have this really artisanal, crafted, honed in approach. This is what it's going to taste like flavor. Mm-hmm. So I have not tried your seltzers yet.
Oh,
and
cool.
I waited because I wanted to do it on the show with you. Because I am like So in one of my bars that I own, we're actually here at Last Call in DC. We sell, when we were open, we're not open right now, we'd go through, 40, 50 cases of this in a weekend. Yeah. That's how much between this indoor bar and our outdoor bar we sell of like seltzers. So it is insane to me how many, everybody drinks them and they don't drink just one. They're drinking,
you can crush
4 or 5. So I'm really excited. So which one should we try first?
Let's see. I would probably go citrus first. So that's going to be some more subdued. It's definitely more lime and lemon character. I think one of my favorite criticisms of our seltzer is that people didn't get enough flavor. I'm like, exactly. It's meant to be subtle. It's meant to be a hint of flavor. We don't want heavy extract. We don't want cloying flavors. We want it to be a hint of sparkling water, thinking La Croix or other bubbly type water with alcohol at 5%. So for me, we've always erred on the side of caution with flavor, even going back to our coconut porter, which was the first coconut beer in the country.
So good.
Truly
where
the
it
first.
is, thank
Truly
you, it's a subtle character of toasted coconut. Absolutely. And so we've, if you want a bunch of flavor, well, we have ways to add flavor post packaging. If you want it with, we do a slushy here where we add on top of the seltzer, we add a POG slushy. If you want syrups, that you can do all different types of things with it. It's really meant to be a base for a cocktail, which one of my favorites lately, which we'll talk about later. But I love the seltzer movement, but I will tell you it was a struggle to create this beverage, not only from a formulation, but also the team. The team
not
was
just because you're on the show,
yeah.
but this is so much better than any of the other seltzers I've had. Like, it doesn't taste fake, and that's exactly it. When we were in Maine and we were taking the ferry back, that was a big thing. We'd have these little seltzers, and I kept trying we'd go and you could buy at the package store, you could buy one at a time. And I kept going through, and I was like, I'd get like maybe a quarter of it in. And I'm like,
I've had so many dumpers. There are some great ones out there. And, I've had some beautiful ones. I've had some really bad ones, but I agree. I think a lot of times it's this fake, really disgusting aftertaste or this sliminess that's in the mouthfeel itself. Yeah. We approach seltzers much like we approach our beer, where if we're not going to drink it, we're not going to make it. And we want it to be natural. We want it to be everything that we are as a brewery and a distillery under Kupu, to be to come through in the seltzers. And so our team, I've got to give them credit for coming up with the big wins here. So we landed.
I like the fact.
No, go ahead, please.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's a big win for the team.
No, the big win. Keep finished.
We came up with the 3 initial flavors, which were citrus, of course. Then we have our POG, which Luis can tell you, POG is a very well-known beverage here in Hawaii, and also then the dragon fruit as well. So yeah, if you want to move on to the POG,
which I can't wait to taste that, because POG is not anything to write home about. It's
super syrupy juice, like passion orange guava is what it stands for. So passion fruit, orange, and guava. And, we take it, blend them together as POG. And so it's meant to be a reminiscent of the juice that you would get here in Hawaii, which of course is pink and super sugary and super flavorful with not only fruit, but
your teeth hurt. Your teeth hurt.
You got to go to the dentist afterwards for sure. But this is reminiscent of that character, but with a very clean note. So, you can crush between, honestly, I got to bring a 12-pack when I go to the beach, because I can drink 6 of them myself and be like, oh, well, what's next? I had to bum a Miller Lite off of someone not long ago because I brought 6 to the beach and I was out of booze. So I was like, got to up my game next time.
Wait, man, that's a crime. If you're in Hawaii and you find Garrett Marrero drinking a Miller Lite, times are really bad, and you just need to do something.
I will tell
Garrett.
you,
I don't know.
at least it wasn't
These are
Bud
so
Light.
dangerous.
I would never, ever.
The Bud Light seltzers are the worst.
Okay,
yeah, their taste buds are
I have
screaming,
another
but
funny
they're not
Garrett
saying more. They're
Marrero
saying,
story.
what the F?
Yeah, exactly. I have a funny Garrett Marrero story. So last time in Hawaii, Garrett flies over and we're hanging out on the beach, and And so we're in Waikiki, and Maui Brewing has this amazing place in Waikiki. It's just right on the main drag. You just have to go across the street, and it's Hawaii, and you're right across the beach. He doesn't have a shirt on yet, and we're going across the street, and we go in, and the way the Maui Brewing and the location is, you meet
Host,
not a bouncer, but there's
Sure.
a host waiting for you, and you either take the stairs or the elevator up, and now. It's funny because when you live in an island, it's only like 2 degrees of separation. We walk in, and the host doesn't know who Garrett is. Has no idea that, he's the owner of Maui Brewing. So we walk in, and he's like, but he did his job. He was very polite, and he's like, "Excuse me, sir. Sorry, Olivia's losing her head." He says, "Excuse me, sir. You have to put your shirt on. You can't go upstairs without your shirt on." And Garrett was very, "Oh, absolutely. I'll put it on. Absolutely." He's like, You're right. Sorry, man." And never told him who he was. So it's so funny. So we go upstairs, and we hang out for a little bit. And then as we're leaving, Garrett leaves first because they're going to fly back to Maui. And Dave and I are in the gift shop, and Dave wants a hat. And so we're picking out a hat for him, and they're asked, "How was everything?" Because of course we took pictures with Garrett, and those people knew who Garrett was. So they were very nice, and they were chatting us up a bit. And I said, "Oh, it's very funny. Your host on the other side didn't know who Garrett was, and told me how to put his shirt on." And I was like, it was really great because I know
Sure.
Garrett appreciated it, but it was very funny that the guy just didn't know who he was. And so I gave that manager some he's like, "Oh, I'm going to give that guy so much shit. It's going to be so good."
Yeah.
But it was hilarious that the fact that the guy had no idea. He's like, "Excuse me, sir."
I love that though too, because obviously, running around from a beach into a restaurant here, it's easy to forget to put your clothes on sometimes because you're just going in to grab a beer or something, right? But the fact that my team, whether they know me or not, they will manage me appropriately, and I tell them not to treat me any different than anyone else. And in fact, if I'm in the restaurant, I'm the last person I want to be served. I want everyone else taken care of. If it's busy, don't spend time with me. I'll be fine. You take care of everybody else. And they do a really good job of that. We operate as a team, and I'm a big believer that no one works for me. We all work together. We work for each other, if you will. We work with each other, and that's really important. So yeah, I got a great team. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Dragon fruit.
I opened the dragon fruit.
So you guys know what dragon fruit tastes like, right?
I'm like,
it doesn't really taste like much, right?
It smells like feet.
Yeah, it's really a unique fruit. If you ever see one, it's wild, and it looks like this. It looks like something off of Star Trek, and then you cut it open, and it depends if you got a red one or a white flesh one. And the white ones are basically white in the center with tons of these almost poppy seeds, like these seeds all throughout it. Super tasty though. I love dragon fruit, but it doesn't have much of a flavor other than people can describe it as, well, tropical, but really relatively bland, a lot of water, right? And so we have added other flavors to this, one of them being black cherry. Of course, it's one of the #1 flavors of seltzer in America at the moment. So we have a dragon fruit tropical note topped up with some black cherry, which we call a top note of flavor.
So it's interesting. When you said that, that is what I smelled when I opened it up. I was like, "Oh, it smells like a black cherry," but I didn't.
So it's called top noting. It's something we've learned about in the creation of these beverages. But something that it's 100 calories, it's no sugar, less than 1 gram of carbs, naturally gluten-free, vegan, of course. What else? And allergen-free. So.
Wait a minute, no, I thought you said it had dragon in it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't that make it non-vegan?
Wah, wah. Wait, what? What do we?
Oh,
did I
come
accidentally
on.
make a bacon seltzer? But it is the seltzer.
Oh, that would sell like crazy.
This is almost keto if it didn't have alcohol, huh?
Well, but that's the thing is a lot of times people can't say, they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was 5% alcohol." This has 0.2%. I mean, it's Manini amount of alcohol more, but it's Bikini Blonde is 4.8% alcohol by volume. Our seltzer's 5.0%. So you got to imagine that it's actually more alcohol than our Helles Lager has in it. And our seasonal beer Shave Ice right now, which I've been crushing a lot of, is 3.8% alcohol. We actually have less alcohol in some of our beers than we have in the seltzer, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, Gina, you need to borrow that. You could make Shave Ice, beer Shave Ice.
I love the Shave Ice. Hawaiian Shave Ice is the coolest. The block, and you just. do the thing? Is that what you have?
When
Like
I say Shave Ice, we have a seasonal beer right now. I don't think I have any of the cans here with me, but I'd have to leave frame to go get them. But Shave Ice is our limited release right now, and it's a Berliner Weiss that is made with just a ton of tropical fruits, and so it's 3.8% alcohol. Just, you know, obviously very low IBU, but it's a true Berliner Weiss style beer. And so what we did is,
do we have
I don't
that
think
here in
DC
DC?
got any because it came out like just probably halfway through COVID, and let's just say wholesalers weren't really keen on bringing in a lot of products during COVID. They were like, we're only doing what we know in this box because we know it'll sell. But Shave Ice, especially in the heat right now, is a very welcome relief because it's crisp, it's dry, it's got those sour tart notes, if you will, from a true Berliner Weiss. You know, and it was made, like I said, with a bunch of fruit, but it's a play on words where, you know, people come to Hawaii and they have shaved ice is what they say. You know, and you hear me enunciating shaved. We don't say it that way here. We say shave ice, not shaved. Drop the D and then you'll immediately sound like you're from here, right? Maybe. But we played on it with Shave Weiss, like W-E-I-S-S-E, like the Berliner Weiss. So it's Shave Weiss, right? And it's a play on words, but it really is a unique style of beer that honestly, where you guys are right now, I'm sure you're having record heat. It's like 92 outside right now. Crushing some seltzers and Shave Ice. That's literally what I bring to the beach these days. So.
Well, that's really hot for Maui. 92.
Wait, what did you send to Naheem? Did Naheem get some of this? I heard him saying something from you.
His pallet landed yet, and as I say, his pallet, but we actually had it was really cool. We had a customer in the DC area reach out to us because they use, I think Pueo is their company name or their logo. And we make a beer called Pueo Pale Ale, and the Pueo is an owl, right? It's a ancestral spirit, but you know, so certain families will identify with certain ancestral, you know, beings, if you will, and the Pueo is representative of one. It's also the Hawaiian white owl, I believe it's called, but a Pueo Pale Ale.
Yep.
And so they wanted to buy a pallet for all of their team. They were going to have a party, or they were going to give them out as gifts. I forget. So we ordered, Total Wine contacted us through our wholesaler and was like, hey, can you do this? And I was like, sure. And at the same time, Naheem was, you know, sitting in his house with my goddaughter, Nymeria, and his beautiful wife, Jenny. And they were like, hey, we should order some beer.
Uber prego,
yeah. And he's like, hey, can you ship me some beer? I was like, no problem. So he sends me this list. And I'm like, dude, it's going to take me a couple days to box this up and ship it. And it's going to be expensive as hell. I can't imagine. So because that pallet was leaving, I called up the wholesaler. I was like, hey, can I throw 10 cases on top of that pallet for my buddy? And so we were able to, with that pallet shipping, we threw another 10 cases on top. So Naheem's got a collection of bevies coming. When there is Shave Ice on there, I made sure of that. But the High Life.
He told me it was coming.
You guys will have, it'll be quite the party when you see that. So there's Kupu cocktails, there's all of our seltzers. We didn't have acai at the moment because we just came out with a new flavor, and a bunch of different beers. So
are we going to get your seltzers here, or what's the deal?
We will eventually. Right now, the keeping up with the demand for them here has been the most difficult part. To give you an idea, we had projected initially about a 50,000 CE or case equivalent goal for 2020. And I think our pre-orders right now for our 12 packs coming out just in August is like 20,000 units, which is 10,000 CEs. So we're well in past the 50,000 CE mark already. You know, which, to give you an idea of scale, you know, that's 1,000 plus barrels of seltzer, you know, so larger than most breweries in the country is.
Wow.
We've sold more seltzer already. Probably half our sales this month will be seltzer. So.
Do you think that, like, be honestly, because people are home now and they're not going to bars and stuff, do you think that, like, especially in like Hawaii and stuff like that, like, or you're like, you know, people they're drinking more. I'm not saying that they're drinking more like in consumption. They're just not going to bars.
Sure.
They're drinking at home. But like your off-premise sales have to be
Our off-premise sales have definitely
amazing.
Increased. I think we're up something like 38% in the mainland on off-premise.
Wow.
but that amount does not even come close to making up for the decrease in pints getting served at the bars. So, I'm standing in our Kihei location, which will open today at 3:30. Normally we're open 11 to 11 every day of the week. Now we're open 5 days a week for, 6 hours, and not as busy as we were before. So, it's certainly been a real hit to volume. We'll probably do half the production we did last year to be, and if we do anything more than half, I would be super stoked. But with our government talking about shutting down again, it's not looking good that way. So yeah.
They should have never let anybody in. Hawaii was almost, COVID proof.
Sure, but the interesting
Maui,
thing
Hawaii,
is I
everything.
think most of the spikes are not coming from people visiting. They're all coming from our own people who traveled and came back and aren't observing the rules. That's what we're hearing, at least. But I mean, who knows what to believe anymore? You can't believe media. You can't believe government. Like large scale media. Yeah, you definitely can't listen to the government because they're, today they announced that thermal scanners are installed and that the facial recognition will be up and running shortly. And that's not only or installed on time, but within budget. And I'm like, cool. Well, what about like facial recognition makes us safer from COVID? And what happened to the whole idea of planning to reopen our state? Instead, you're worried about facial recognition. Come on, So I don't know, but we don't want to get too political here.
Look, yeah, we don't need to know like where it came from. Just wear your fucking mask.
Yeah, even if you don't agree, just wear the damn mask. Make it easy for us.
Wear the mask.
Yep.
If everybody could have worn the mask like these other countries did, our caseload would go down. Now, obviously, there's a whole other discussion, but like our industry is so infected that now you're like, you're pivoting, and I feel like, and I didn't really know that you were working on all these seltzers, but like, what a wonderful product. It's amazing. And two, now I'm pissed that we can't get it.
We'll make sure we get some out there.
Now we have to wait till 2021.
Yeah, I don't know. I think by year end, it's realistic. The other thing too is that shipping is ridiculously expensive. So although we can ship, it becomes cost prohibitive. So we're not competitive, even though we might have a superior product on the shelf. Taking that gamble at the shelf level for a customer, it's going to be $1, $2, $3 more per 6-pack than they're used to spending, and that's just to cover the fact that it's made here in Hawaii. So that certainly presents a challenge.
But when you have 0 and 1 gram, like I know so many people in like the the bodybuilder, health space, strong, whatever, that like drink the seltzers because it's like the only thing they'll allow in their body for alcoholic purposes.
Yeah.
This is like
it's super clean
market
and
for that.
I like to eat well. I love food, as you know. But when I'm not eating awesome food all the time, I'm training and I'm always taking care of myself. And so for that standpoint, that's another reason we don't use artificial flavors or what they call WOMF, with other natural flavors. We want to make everything. If I won't put it in my body, I'm not going to expect you to put it in yours. And our beverages are modeled after that as an ethos for our company, from our food all the way through our beverage. So, but yeah, I'm down almost 20 pounds.
I think that
in
speaks.
COVID. I've got my COVID minus 19 from these guys.
You're such an asshole, Garrett.
Isn't that what it is? COVID minus 19?
No, the other day. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For you, for some, but not all. Yeah, I know. The other day when we did our pre-interview, Gina, that was the first thing I was like, where did your COVID-15 go? Because I was like so thin. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
He's not telling.
Well, no, he said it was all liquid.
Yeah, a lot of.
I have one suggestion. I was going to say this. One suggestion. If I was going to do anything to your products, and I don't want to, but if I was going to, I would definitely put just a touch of tequila with the POG.
Yeah.
Well, let's show us how, Gina. Let's show our
tequila Seltzy is what I call that.
Is that okay? Can we make one drink? So I was going to. So originally we made the syrup. I had everybody make a salted pineapple syrup, which I absolutely love. And let's use a little touch of that. And I realized we're gonna take away the liquor, the calorie portion.
Hey,
of it.
You gotta live.
However, let's just try it.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm actually opening a brand new bottle of tequila if I didn't open it prior. So we can make this, we can use a citrus salt on the outside of this. If you're not a salt person with your tequila drinks, you don't need it. This seltzer has a surprisingly really lovely balance to it. So I might even say skip the salted rim on the glass. But what we're gonna put in there is just 1 ounce of a nice reposado or a tequila that you really like. If you're more of a Blanco or a reposado, nothing añejo, it'll be just a little too strong. So I'm just using the D4. It's really quite
fancy,
lovely. I think it's really nice. Yeah, it's
look. I have the COVID size bottle of.
I've crushed a few bottles of Espolón during COVID for sure. I've got Casadores from my friend Manny. He's he's the rep for I think this region, but he's probably even more important than that. But yeah, crushing Casadores. I've gone through Casadores, Casamigos, and I had a good buddy of mine sent me some Terramana too. So I've been going through my tequila for sure. And I call this my Tequila Seltzy. I've not done syrup, so that's actually pretty good. But Seltzy is a name we've given to seltzer. My good friends at Roadhouse Brewing in Wyoming, we made a beer together this winter, I guess it was, pre-COVID. And they were out here and we were crushing Seltzy a lot. So it just became a thing. So, yeah.
Nice. So you said 1 ounce of tequila, Gina?
1 ounce of tequila. We're only doing a 1/4 ounce of that pineapple, that salted pineapple syrup.
Okay.
Right? And so I don't even think I want to put this on there. This is the first time I'm actually making this now with the seltzer. So I almost want to keep it more delicate than I even thought.
Okay.
So we're going to add the pog.
You said a 1/4 ounce of this?
The top. And just a 1/4 ounce. Because you're just going to add just a little touch of sweetener with the agave. You don't really need much. And then we're just going to give it a quick little little stir, basically a pull through.
First.
Because you have the liquor on the bottom, so it's going to pull it to the top.
I think your pog is very happy to see you, Garrett.
You mean I shouldn't have shaken it?
Jeez Louise. I'm going to give it a little taste prior to you all trying it. And I'm going to say 86. You don't need the other citrus. You don't need additional citrus. It's done.
Oh, wow. That syrup is delicious.
Cheers.
Oh.
It's just a touch. Well, I'm sure your pineapples are better than mine.
One of our...
Garrett's pineapples are pretty nice.
Oh, my God.
I don't even know what that would be. I just could not say it.
Fair. Very fair.
Jesus.
Usually I'm talking about Gina's melons, but I threw it up there. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Who doesn't love good fruit, though, right? Yeah.
I mean, true. This is really,
yeah,
oh my God, tequila in this
one of our managers here, Neil, made the syrup for us this morning. I got the list from y'all and I sent it over to my team. I was like, hey, can you guys make me look good and do all this stuff? And that's, again, like I said, I have a great team. I couldn't do it without them for sure. So, I got off one call, came down here, set up, and everything's like, oh, cool, thank you. So, yeah. So cheers to Team MBC, as we say. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Absolutely.
And cheers to you for allowing me to have a drink at noon today.
Garrett,
because it's work.
Any excuse.
Because it's work, guys. Right. Yeah.
It is work.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
I mean, it's working. I'm excited. I want to point out one other thing. So Garrett also has the Island tonic as well. And I'm definitely going to drink this tonight now, knowing that I cannot get any more.
Well, yeah. And so that's the thing, not to get political, but, we've talked about how, wineries can ship wine to every customer across the country, but breweries can't do the same with beer. Distilleries can't do the same with spirits, but we can ship our non-alcoholic soda across the country. So we do actually sell our sodas online through our website. So you can get our tonic, our ginger beer, our cola, and our root beer. And we usually recommend a 12-pack because it's just the most efficient shipping. But we are working to get our other beverages able to ship direct to customer. That just seems right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you capable of doing those squat cans, those 8-ounce cans?
I'd love to. That's something that I asked of Ball. Unfortunately, I'd have to commit to a ridiculous amount of cans because our cans are actually made in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
So the plant only makes that can that you were holding. It's the only size and shape
Is
can
that
they
on
make.
Oahu?
And you notice it has
Beautiful
the ridges
can.
over on Oahu. Yeah. You notice how the ridges at the
Yeah.
top are there. And if you have another can of a mainland beverage, you'll see that the can itself is about 1/8 of an inch wider. Ours is 1/8 of an inch wider at the top. It's exactly the same diameter at the top as the Sam can, the 206, where Jim Cook and Boston Beer wanted to have that bigger aroma release. So it's essentially all it is a 206 can without the ridges on it. So for us, it's the only can we can get. For us to do a 206 8-ounce can, it's not made anywhere in the world. We would need to commit to like 50 million cans to be able to do that. And I was like,
never mind.
Okay, that's a little more than I can probably commit to at the moment. But an 8-ounce cocktail, an 8-ounce tonic, an 8-ounce, our cold brew coffee would do really well in there.
I'm sorry, did you say you do cold brew coffee as well?
We do a separate company called Origin Coffee Maui, and our brewmaster, her wife, was the I want to say 2016 or 17 Roastmaster of the Year, and she roasted I don't know how many #1 coffees, but or highly rated coffees from the Coffee Review. So Kim, who is our brewmaster, married Heather, who's our roastmaster, and so we have 2 separate companies that we're partners in on the coffee side. So we make nitro cold brew, and we're working on a coffee liqueur. And you can order beans from her directly too online.
So we're keeping it
Really?
Ohana.
I'll have to send a care package.
Keeping it Ohana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, roasted right here at the brewery. So anytime we do a coffee beer or coffee beverage in general, we're using Origin.
So Gina, I wish you'd gone a couple of years ago. I went out, and when Garrett was on the show before, went out to see the brewery, and it's so beautiful. I know I said it then, but it all the doors open up completely. So you've got this beautiful island breeze coming through, but then right behind Garrett's shoulder, you can see the distillery or the brewery, and you were just starting to distill then. You weren't even like full, and it's such a lovely space. It really
Trust me, it looks so much
well
better
done
when there's people here.
Yeah.
Naheem has shared so many more photos of it than you have, Louise.
Yeah.
So
I think Naheem lived here for a while while Jenny and Miria and I were out. Naheem was stuck in the cold room doing work. So yeah.
He's the best.
Totally.
And he didn't, and he wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
he literally just redid our Airstream that, like he made it perfect, which is insanity because it's a little Airstream. So, which you have to love.
So Gina, a little housekeeping. Where are they going to go to get this very simple but amazing little cocktail?
You're going to go to designateddrinker.show, and then we're going to also put the link, right?
Yes.
There we go.
How to get
Maui Brewing.
The tonic, and if you happen to be lucky enough to live in Hawaii or Maui, you can get all the products there.
Yes,
yep, absolutely. So we're working kind of from Hawaii out towards the East Coast. We're probably be West Coast first, and then we have to probably get to Texas before we can get over, just the way the shipping works. But we're working on a few things to try and get things out more readily to these markets. So you guys know I love DC because I get to see y'all, but and eat
and get a haircut.
Food and yeah, exactly. I do. I usually do. Right across the street from Jack Rose, I go get my get my head buzzed and get a little trim and
And then he comes hangs out with us, and we are buzzed the rest of the time. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I've had a lot of celebrations in DC that I very much enjoyed. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
And kind of remember.
Yes. Although I'm glad this year the hill climb was supposed to be in like June or something, and I know it was already hot, and so me in a suit in DC in June, those two things just don't go together. So I'm glad we got to miss that.
You had to wear covered shoes and a suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing you do in Hawaii.
Shoes. No. I think I've worn a suit in Hawaii like maybe once, and that was for like a party, like a special event,
Yeah.
That was like we're dressing up. I think it was actually our Christmas party. We did a Gatsby theme, and that was the only time I've worn a suit in the state of Hawaii.
As a costume, not as real clothes, but as costume.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yes,
costume.
yeah. Oh no, I've gone to black tie like weddings. Like I'm wearing like a dress. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
an evening gown, and the men are wearing
totally.
aloha
Yeah,
shirts.
and that's dressed up. I mean, I put on a V-neck for you guys today.
Oh yeah,
like instead of like a regular T-shirt.
Look at that.
So I figured getting too
What are
dressed up
Louise?
for me would have been putting on a polo, which would have had a collar.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even
I was like,
recognize
oh.
you. You're like, who is this guy? Who is this
Skinny
main
and in
wonder?
a polo.
Yeah. All right, Gina, it's all you.
I think we know this question though. Didn't we already ask Garrett?
I think you should see if it changed.
Okay. You know, I know we've asked you this question about your spirit animal and who you identify with and how you see yourself, right? Do you think, or has your spirit ingredient changed? And if it hasn't,
My spirit.
what is it and why?
My spirit ingredient is definitely tequila. I don't know if that changed at all, but I'll tell you, it used to be, if it changed, it went from whiskey to tequila. And I'd probably say within the last couple of years, I've just consumed more tequila. And I had a really good friend of mine, Matt Bonney, who passed away, unfortunately, a bit ago. And he's the one who really got me into tequila and mezcal. And, you know, prior to him, you know, it was margaritas maybe, but a shot of tequila was not something I wanted to drink. It was reminiscent of me growing up in San Diego and getting cheap tequila in Mexico at 18 or 17 or 16. You know, cover your ears. But now, like, I've learned so much about tequila and what makes it and the nuances between it. And it's definitely something that I really gravitate towards as a beverage. So, yeah. That G4 looked pretty amazing. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to try some of that. So, yeah.
Heaven. I'll swap it. I'll send that to you. You send me some stuff.
I can do that.
I'm going to look up what your ingredient was, but I literally remember that episode of Jack Rose when we first started doing that question. And I feel like that's what you said.
It might be.
But
you know, we had so many drinks that day, we may have not even asked the question, Gina.
I was drinking before you even got there.
That was still when it was
well, it's day off.
Yeah, you were with me before we got there. You're right.
It was probably because we were at Jack Rose the night before.
That's what makes you such a great
start drinking again because we probably didn't feel great. So, yeah, that sometimes happens. Yeah.
Little hair of
What's
the dog.
interesting, you know, what's funny is you know how connected we are. You know, even if you're separated for years, you know how, you know, even among family and friends, how, you know, when you identify with people, like there's so many similarities and it's what bonds you, right? And anecdotally, I have a group of cousins that grew up on the East Coast, completely separate from us. These are my dad's sister's kids, and we spent more than 20 years apart due to a, you know, I would just call it a bullshit family rift that none of the kids knew what was happening. But you know, we felt, you know, when we met up again, we were kind of robbed. We felt robbed of that 20 years. And it's amazing how not even being together, we hang out and we're the same people. Like we talk the same. We're mannerisms with our hands. You know, we love tequila. Like it's weird how like those types of things that just come through. I don't know if it's in the genes, how it happens, but it's amazing just to realize how separate you can be, but still be so connected. And I think that's something we need more of in the world today, is finding those connections that bind us. So we can disagree about everything, but if we love tequila, we have something to build on. You know what I mean? So I think that's what the world needs. Yeah.
We're good. We're good here.
Absolutely. We can drink tequila all day long.
Yes. Right until you can't.
Amen.
Exactly.
So. Yeah.
Totally.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Time to sleep
Indeed.
this one off.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Aloha, Garrett.
Cheers.
The Designated Drinker Show is produced by Missing Link, a podcast media company dedicated to connecting people to intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Missing Link is a proud partner of Hearing Charities of America, a nonprofit organization that supports those who are deaf or hard of hearing. To learn more about HCOA or to find out about Missing Link's other podcasts, head over to missinglink.company. That's missinglink.company.